Today I'm going to talk about the speculation I have about the evil witch versus the three crones that we meet during the Blood Baron quest in Witcher 3, because honestly I've been reading a lot about it because Morale G was telling me about how his in Baron and Anna lived, and then I started doing like more research on like to see what I believed was like the correct answer because I only did one playthrough. Originally I felt that saving the orphans was the right thing to do. I don't really feel bad about the Blood Baron or Anna because I feel like they're both, compared to the orphans, they're pretty irredeemable characters in like the actions they've taken, so I didn't really feel too bad for them. But then when I was doing further research, apparently in Downhaven there's like it killed women and children too, which I didn't see any women and children in my playthrough when I went to Downhaven, but reading the Reddit and then also listening to what the Elderman says when we come back and the Downhaven's been destroyed, I honestly have a theory that the Crones might have actually been the ones that destroyed Downhaven. As well, I have a theory that the evil spirit is not like any more evil than any of the other deities in Witcher 3 that require offerings. So I found this book that somebody posted on the Reddit, basically, which is, in my opinion, complete crone propaganda that she spread throughout the village. There's a lot of reasons why this is, I believe it's propaganda, and all of this is speculation, so I could just be spreading propaganda for the evil spirit, but folks say they're for at first, the mother, she who knows, the Lady of the Wood, comes here from a faraway land, and since she suffered from terrible loneliness, she made 3 daughters out of dirt and water. So the Lady of the Wood came there first, and then made the Crones. A long, long time ago, the mother was sole ruler of all of Velen. Her daughters brought her the people's request, and served as her voice. This is important as well, because the evil spirit is the mother. So, it's not the mother that's talking to the citizens of Downhaven. It is the Crones. Her daughters brought her the people's request and served as her voice. Each spring, sacrifices of grain, animal, and men were made to the Lady of the Wood on her special night. So one time of the year, probably, since it's a special night, in the spring, she has offerings, which is pretty normal for a deity. Even in our like past history, that was like normal when people were like worshiping gods and whatnot. Now, is it great that they're taking men? It could just be, we don't know anything about these men. This book is very bereft of information. It's not like an innocent man. It doesn't specify, because I've seen deities require like virgins and blah blah blah. It says men. So it could just be like any men that the peasants decided to offer, or like people that committed crimes. We honestly don't know. It doesn't specify. Yet, as the years passed, the Lady of the Wood slipped deeper and deeper into madness. Her madness eventually spread over the land. Men took to abandoning their homes and setting out into the bog, where they became food for beasts. Before long, Velen was drowning in blood. This is also super important, because it doesn't say what her madness was. Why does it not specify what she was doing that was driving people into the bog? And remember, it's not her talking to the people making these requests. It is the Crones. So maybe the Crones started doing what they're doing now. But they don't take sacrifices one time out of the year. They take sacrifices year-round, whenever they pretty much have a whim for it. As you could see in the quest line, we are helping, or the Crones, sorry, I keep changing their name. The Crones get rid of the evil spirit because that's what they want. They still take a sacrifice from the Elderman, even though we're actually helping them. Granted, we are supposedly helping the Elderman as well by getting rid of this evil spirit, but that's ultimately what they want, and they decide to take a sacrifice anyways. So, and obviously they're taking the orphan children that keep getting supplied to them by the village. And then the daughters saw their land nearing destruction and took it upon themselves to save it. When spring was once more, and with it the night sacrifices, they killed their mother and buried her in the bog. This is that one night of the year when she comes to get her sacrifice, the offerings from the people. So this, in my opinion, is how the people of Downhaven that make their offerings are complicit. Because I believe that they actually helped the Crones kill the mother or whatnot, the evil spirit. I mean, the Crones could have access to her at any time, correct? Because they go back and forth and speak to her. But they chose of all nights the night when the citizens would actually make their offerings to her directly to kill her. Also, the Crones apparently, even this is mentioned by the evil spirit, gain power thanks to the citizens of Downhaven's, their sacrifices, everything that they take from the people, from their offerings, strengthens the Crones in some way. So that's probably another reason why they became powerful enough to defeat her. She's the one that created them, so we don't really know her powers, but we would have to assume she's very powerful at that time. Her blood watered the oak atop Ardserban, and from then on the tree grew wholesome and hearty fruit for the people. As for the lady's immortal soul, it refused to leave the blood. And this is another reason why you know it's propaganda, because like as the story ends, they're acting like everything was prosperous now just because they got rid of the supposed evil spirit, and there's no mention of how the ladies became corrupt after the fact and needed all these sacrifices and whatnot. And something that I find really interesting is when you do this storyline and Downhaven's destroyed and they blame it on the mayor. Who's telling you about this? Who's telling you that the mayor is the one that destroyed the village? The alderman. Out of all the people, if the Black Mare came back to destroy the village, why would she not kill the alderman, who's supposed to be like the leader of the village, is super faithful to the ladies of the wood? Because even though he says like, oh, we have to seek our own protection, blah, 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 he's still deeply rooted in that we need to do whatever the Crones want for our protection. If the Crones basically gave him a story to tell us, he would do it, obviously, because he believes, because for his own self-preservation, even if they destroyed the village. He does claim that the witch hunters are the ones that told him that it was the Black Mare, but when we confront the witch hunters later to like help Anna and whatnot, they don't mention it at all. They do not mention the Black Mare at all. Like, there's no, oh, why would you help an evil spirit? Because this would be something that the witch hunters would be extremely pissed about because they're super zealots. So why don't they bring up to Geralt, like, how could you free this evil spirit and destroy this whole village? Like, there's no mention of it whatsoever. We do not see the witch hunters or anything, from my playthrough anyways, in Downhaven. So our only source of information is the Alderman, super faithful to the Crones and been brainwashed. Like, this whole village has been brainwashed by the Crones. The evil spirit doesn't tell you the full story, but it doesn't necessarily lie to you either. Like, it doesn't give any extra information when it's telling its story, because I asked it about, like, the people that were murdered, which we're supposed to be helping with, and it basically said that, yes, they did die, but, I mean, there's a werewolf protecting the evil spirit. So let's say, for instance, that the Crones were trying to get rid of this evil spirit before we got there, and they sent people to try to, like, actually be able to kill the evil spirit. I know there's children as well. There's, like, children's bodies as well. But we know that the evil spirit saves the orphans, right? And it actually seems like that's something that it really wants to do. It might be doing that just so we free it, but that is something that it actually does, because the Crones mention it themselves that they escape. And maybe the Crones, because they can control the people in the village, had them try to... One, it probably sent an adult to see if it could get in there, got killed by a werewolf that was trying to protect the evil spirit, and then they tried to send a child in there, maybe thinking the evil spirit would lower its guard, not knowing, maybe they did know it was a werewolf, I don't know, maybe thinking it could sneak in there and try to kill the evil spirit, because the evil spirit's pretty defenseless besides the werewolf. Why this book might be propaganda is because they're already doing propaganda when you arrive. They're trying to portray themselves as like these beautiful women compared to what they look like. I mean, obviously, I don't think the picture's like super hot women or nothing like that. And that's how they communicate with everybody. They don't show their real forms, which is obviously grotesque, super scary, but they present a front that they're the ones that are keeping everything in check, that they're helping everyone. And as you could see in this quest line, even when they're doing something for their own benefit and possibly causing the problem themselves, they still represent it in a way that they're helping the people of Downhaven from this evil spirit. Because if the Crones are the ones that are actually sending people to the evil spirit and having them killed, obviously the werewolf's the one killing them and making the evil spirit look even more evil than it is when it's actually just trying to survive. Anybody that's not on the Crone's side will not give you that much information. The evil spirit won't. And the thing is let's say the evil spirit was trying to explain to the people on her night that she wasn't the one that was doing all this stuff. At that point, the Crones have been like a middleman between the actual spirit and then like the citizens as well. So who are they going to trust? The three people that have been telling all the citizens that the spirit's gone mad and is actually like doing all this bad stuff now, or the spirit, which they rarely ever see, that only takes her sacrifices once a year. It doesn't really say when the Crones were made, but it would have been after the point where she actually came to the bog, because it says she came there and then she made the three daughters from dirt and water. So it's kind of funny that she shifted from just wanting grain, animals, and men. Like I said, that's not specified, so it could just be corrupt people or whatnot, whatever the price would be, but on one night. So if my speculation's correct, and the Crones basically had somebody write this, basically after manipulating the whole time, they couldn't be like, oh, she wanted 40 men, and then the citizen who's writing it's like, oh, that's not true, she never asked for 40 men. But that would be something they put in the book to make her look worse if it was true. Like, if there was something like a request that she had that was like insanely crazy on that night or something as she was going more mad, witches would have obviously included it because it would just make her look even worse than she already does in this hit piece. So that's another reason why I think the original spirit was just like a regular deity and the witches were the ones actually making everything worse instead of her going mad herself. And like I said, it's pretty normal for deities to want to have sacrifices. You can see that with the demon as he's demanded his sacrifices, and then he gets upset because they're not good enough, but like the people just treat that as like a normal thing in this universe. And I mean, if she did get revenge on the people, I wouldn't be shocked because like if you read any kind of like mythology or whatnot, gods torture people for much less, especially in Greek mythology. For any little whim. But the fact that they aided the Crones in actually getting rid of her after she probably took care of them and didn't even know that the Crones were manipulating them, and like the Crone manipulation is just wild. That's why I can't trust them. And like I was saying with the spirit, she never really lied to me about anything. She said the people died when they came. She said she was a fortress besieged. So these people came to her. I think somebody said on the Reddit that the Yeldermen will tell you, if you do it a certain way, that she was luring people in there. But when we start going there, she tells us to stay away. It might be, but she does say she knows from where we came. She doesn't specify that she knows we're a witcher, though. Even though she could probably tell, because obviously we're a unique being in this universe. And she's magical and whatnot. But she could also just be saying that because she knows that the Crones sent us. Like the other people that died as they were possibly sent there by the Crones to get rid of her. Like I was saying with the kids and whatnot and trying to like sneak in, and then the werewolf might have killed them. When confronting her about the dead bodies as well, she says she cries, she wails, but nobody listens, which points to the fact that she might have been trying to warn people not to come there like she did us, but they didn't hear it, or because of the mind control done by the Crones, take the warning and got killed by the werewolf. We know already that the Crones have the power to control them. We do know that the spirit could talk to people because they talked to us, but she didn't start talking to us until we got to like a certain distance from the cave. So the fact that she was like luring people out there one at a time when she could have possibly lured everybody out there, if she's gonna wipe out the city anyways, why didn't she lure everybody over there to begin with instead of just taking them one at a time? Maybe her powers were too diminished, but we don't know that either. I just feel like she could have done a lot more damage if she wanted to already, like before we released her. Like she had that werewolf that apparently she could manipulate to protect the cave. Like why didn't she already try to wipe out the village itself? Because the spirit itself says that like the reason they died was because of nature, and that could be nature, could be the werewolf, and like basically the werewolf attacking whatever comes near her. She never says that she tried to lure anybody there or she was trying to go out of her way to kill people, but they did die because of the werewolf that she has guarding the cave. So it was just like course of nature that if they come there for whatever reason, she doesn't know for a fact that the Crones are manipulating them if they are, but she knows that basically her werewolf did kill them. So she's saying like that's just nature. Like a werewolf is going to eat people that come near it because it's a dangerous animal, which again is like her telling the truth. She's not expounding further to like argue her case. She never really argues her case. She just kind of gives a reason for what happened. She wasn't like, oh, I think the Crones manipulated them to come here, so I had to use the wolf to protect myself, which basically, off what I've already said already, makes a lot of sense for like her not being, or possibly being betrayed and murdered by the townfolk already, along with the Crones. And another reason why I think the townfolk were helping is because if the Crones were stronger than the spirit and could do it themselves, then obviously they would just do it again after we released it. So something happened that night when they killed it that made them more powerful than the spirit, and I'm assuming that's the people helping the Crones. And I would assume the people would be a lot less likely to help the Crones after everything they know the Crones do, because they don't have a scapegoat anymore. Now that they're in charge, they don't have somebody they can blame and be like, oh yeah, it's the evil spirit needing these sacrifices. Now everybody knows it's the Lady of the Woods, all three of them, that take these sacrifices from the people. So the people might be a little bit less likely to help them kill the spirit again. And also, the spirit was going to leave anyways. So I also think that's a reason why they burned and ran as well, because the spirit was going to leave and they don't know if the spirit's going to come back. So it was dangerous for them to stay in the woods. And honestly, they just rather kill everybody than leave them alive, because that's just how they are, because they're evil. Also, another thing is why didn't the Crones try to protect the village? Since that's supposed to be what they do for the village anyways. Like, why didn't they even attempt to stop the Black Mare? Because they already knew that we released it, because I told her that we tell them that. And they didn't do anything to try to protect them. But I think it's ironic that, based on my speculation anyways, the Crones used her as a fall person, the spirit, originally to get rid of her. And then when you free it, they use her as a fall person again to try to make Geralt think that what he did was the wrong thing by releasing the spirit. Because I think they fed the alderman that BS story with the witch hunters claiming that the mayor was the one that did it, when I believe that the Crones were actually the destroyers of the village, in my opinion. So in summary, the Crones' proven use of manipulation, like this is something that's in the game that we see, it's not speculation. They use a painting on the wall to misrepresent their physical form. They gaslight Geralt and the villagers into thinking destroying the evil spirit is for the benefit of the villagers and not something that they would highly desire. They try to carve up Ciri, even though their mission is to provide her to the Wild Hunt. I don't know if the Wild Hunt wants her, like, safe or not. I know they're sending wolves after her and whatnot, but I'm sure they know that she's not going to die from those wolves, but I know they want her. I don't know what the purpose is. In the Anna Dies ending, the Crones make sure that, like, even if you lift the curse, that she's going to die. Like, they make her a hag at first, so she'll suffer as a hag. If someone happens to be able to open up the curse, then she dies. And then they also, according to Geralt, Handel was supposed to only serve them for a year, and because of something Geralt did, they curse her to that situation and say that she's the one that helped the children escape, but she wasn't. It was the black. They know it was the horse. Like, they literally know it's the horse, but they blame Anna for it, just to inflict as much suffering as possible. This is my speculated use of manipulation. This is something that's not necessarily not shown in the game, but how I view the whole situation after looking everything up. The Crones have a villager write a book about how they had this great deed rescuing the villagers from this great evil who went mad, but there is no mention of all the evil things the Crones do. There's not a single thing about all the stuff that we witnessed the Crones do, wearing physical trophies of their victims, nothing like that. Requiring sacrifices constantly. The Crones are highly capable of causing every problem that the villagers have faced, and then claiming that they're the ones to solve it, and receive sacrifices for the problems that they're, quotation marks, solving. Like, they could easily be sending people to that cave, as I said, to try to kill this spirit in the woods. They could have easily destroyed the village and had them kill each other since they're able to control them. And these powers that they're claiming that the evil spirit had to do that destruction, we know the Crones have that power. We do not know that the spirit has that power at all. We see that she can talk to us and that she has a werewolf. That's all we know that the spirit can do, is talk to people and control after being murdered. We have no idea what her spirit's power is. I believe that the Crones gaslight the villagers into believing the problems are actually done by the spirit, as stated, with, like, luring them out to be murdered one by one instead of, like, the whole village for revenge, because obviously all she wants is revenge anyways. But for some reason she's doing it one by one instead of, like, having the werewolf just attack and ravage the whole village to begin with. This one could be actually put in the half and half on, like, if this is speculation or not. They're obviously technically betrayed the spirit because they murdered her, but betraying the villagers, if the mad acts were something that were entirely crazy, even though they're not expounded upon, then maybe they didn't betray the villagers by getting rid of the deity. But we don't know that because, like I said, the book doesn't go into detail about what the madness actually was, except that people were leaving the village. And then I also believe that they're the ones that destroyed the village, like I said, with them blaming the deity for all the things that go bad, even to like make Geralt feel bad about what he did to free the evil spirit. And then and the reason why I believe this, as I've stated, is that the Elderman is the only one that survives, which really makes no sense, because if anyone should have been killed by the horse, I think he would be pretty high priority on the list. I don't know why she would let him live at all. Crone good acts. I don't think it shows any good acts that the Crone does the game at all. Like, I don't think there is one single thing that the Crones do to benefit the villagers, besides them mentioning that they help in a way that the deity would have to begin with. If you, like, maybe even the deity wasn't helping them originally anyways, because sometimes the villagers just believe that they're getting helped. It's just how much you believe in the superstition of the world and whatnot. Obviously, there are creatures in the world, but the good acts are kind of left up in the air if they're actually happening, or if it's just people believing it like a placebo effect. The most important fact about the spirit in the tree that really makes me take its side is that we really do not see it commit any evil acts whatsoever, besides the fact that she possesses the horse, because the horse didn't do anything. But, I mean, that's like probably her only option, to have a vessel where she could actually save the orphans and get out of there. So it's kind of like a gray act, even though I feel bad for the horse. Maybe the horse doesn't care, honestly. Who knows? Because, like, maybe they both live within the horse body. I have no idea on that situation, but that would be one evil act. And then she definitely has a werewolf there that is killing anything that comes near the cave for her protection. So I don't even know if that's an evil act in the way she says. It's more of like a true neutral act, but that's like the closest thing that we're shown that she does that's evil. Both her acts that I would consider like evil acts that were actually shown in the game are more like neutral, possibly good act. The horse is needed to save the orphans. Another thing that's interesting about the spirit in the woods, for how powerful she's supposed to be to like lure out these villagers and have them murdered, he doesn't have any type of illusion to misguide Geralt on what she looks like. She's obviously like these hideous pustules inside this tree, but at no point does she try to like influence his mind or have an illusion that makes her look like a beautiful woman or something that's like less grotesque. Like, she presents her true form from the get-go. And spirit of the tree, evil acts according to the village, like the villagers slash the Crones, from what we're given in the game. She's apparently supposed to be luring, from what I read on Reddit. I didn't see this part of the quest, but they're saying that she's the one that's luring people out to the cave to murder them. She destroyed the village for revenge and left the aldermen for some reason alive. Something that was interesting that I hadn't brought up yet until I was typing this out is that when she went mad, supposedly, and this was something they said that was like the final straw for the Crones having to take care of her pretty much. She didn't try to keep people in the village like the Crones are. She actually tried to force them away, which is why people were going into the bog to like escape instead of like actually stay there for sacrifice purposes like for the Crones. So if you believe the book, that could be for so many reasons. Like, the original spirit might have been trying to get rid of the residents of the woods because maybe they were becoming a threat to other things that already lived there. And so for the betterment of like the area in general, she was trying to scare humans out of the bog or the woods. Just really would have made the hags would, or the Crones would see this as a sign of madness, because they're like, oh, we need the people here because we need their sacrifices because they make us stronger and blah and all this other stuff. But for possibly the betterment of everything that lived in that area, she was trying to get rid of the humans, which they would have seen probably as madness. But the madness, like I said, is left clearly ambiguous to paint like a super bad picture of the spirit. One thing that the spirit does that is like its own form of manipulation, in a sense, is that it doesn't go into full details about its situation, so it leaves a lot up to speculation, but I already stated earlier why I think that could be the case. And then the good acts from the spirit of the tree is that the spirit of the tree helps the orphans, even though we don't see the horse like physically saving the orphans. Or the reason why I put it in there as fact is because the Crones themselves, who are obviously evil, say that the orphans were able to escape, and they blame the horse. So the Crones had every reason to just be like, oh, the black horse killed all the orphans and it's all y'all's fault. To like make everyone feel even worse, like they've been doing throughout the whole quest line, trying to make people suffer, to say benefit off the suffering of everyone, it seems like. But they didn't do that. They said that the orphans escaped. So I do believe that the horse did save the orphans. So we do have a physical good act from the horse, or the spirit, which we did not have any from the Crones. We just have alleged good acts. So all the bad acts are allegedly done by the spirit, and then all the good acts are allegedly done by the Crones. We see no good acts from the Crones, and we see good acts from the spirit. But the bad act, we've seen plenty from the Crones, and we see none of them happening from the spirit. So that's just my thoughts, because I was reading that Reddit, and like some of this stuff had been brought up, like the propaganda of the book is really brought up a lot by people that think the spirit is not that bad. But I don't think people went into like enough analysis for like the situation that could have led to the spirit being actually a good deity for the most part. Because I honestly believe that the spirit was just like a regular deity of this world that required sacrifices, and the Crones are just like a complete force of evil, which is pretty much shown that they're evil. Deity part is up to speculation, but I think there's a lot of information that can make you feel that way, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But if you disagree, let me know. Like I said, you'd have to have some like really solid evidence that I missed to like convince me otherwise, which you don't have to convince me. You can believe whatever you want, because like I said, this is speculation, but I just wanted to put this out there because it was really bothering me, like reading that Reddit and whatnot. I just feel like a lot of people either miss things, or some people, when they're like posting, even though it's like a discussion, they take it as like an argument, so they only post like what benefits their side of the discussion instead of like being a little bit subjective about it. And I probably did that in this video. Like I said, I'm the propaganda for the spirit of the woods or whatnot, but I just wanted to go deeper. I think I did a good job of pointing out what the game kind of was hinting at with the spirit of the woods being evil, but I don't think it makes sense at all. But yeah, thanks for watching as always, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know if I'll do more like lore deep dives like this, because I'm not a particularly good analytical person, staying on point by point and whatnot. So maybe if with practice, but this was burning me, bro. So I wanted to have this discussion. All right, guys. Bye.